KTSA News Time is 11:10. Good morning, Jack Riccardi on News Talk 550 KTSA. We've got to do the people's business this hour. We have the candidates running in City Council District 10. They're all here. They're ready to answer the questions that you will put to them and that we will have put to them by the two intrepid reporters from PlazaDeArmasTX.com. Greg Jefferson and Gilbert Garcia both here to ask the questions of these candidates. District 10 is a large district covering mainly the northeast side of town. The current incumbent, term-limited John Clamp. The four challengers for this district, Laura Thompson, who has her own media company. And Laura Thompson, thanks for coming in. Good morning to you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Bud Little, who is a longtime reporter in San Antonio, nearly 4 decades of covering City Hall for WOAI. Bud and I used to work there at the same, I wouldn't say we worked together, we worked there at the same time.
Under the same roof.
I just asked Bud if he felt weird being here at KTSA. It's like he's in enemy territory.
I think I have to refer to this as Brand X.
You can say whatever.
I can refer to what I was with Brand X.
You can say whatever you want. But welcome. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Carlton Soules is also a business owner in the food brokerage business. Okay. Welcome. And Izzy Perez is a college student, and actually you're going to school out of state, right?
Yes, I am.
So you have come back to San Antonio for a campaign appearance.
Yes, I have.
And we're glad to have you here as well. So these are the four candidates challenging in District 10. As I mentioned, we have two reporters who will be asking questions of these candidates. You can also ask questions by calling 599-5555, whether you live in District 10 or not, or do business in District 10 or not, whatever you want to ask these candidates. Our only rules are that every question will go to all four candidates, and we will alternate the order of who goes first, but you will all get to answer in each instance. So we're going to start the questioning right to my immediate right with Laura Thompson, and Greg Jefferson will get the first question in.
Yeah, hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, the city is looking at a projected shortfall of $37 million in its next fiscal year, and that's before factoring in state and federal budget cuts that are going to have a local impact. So where would you go first to look for savings in city government, and why?
Well, I'd probably look at programs that are not working, that have been funded, and that are not necessarily working. I would look at some of the projects that are pending, that may or may not necessarily need to be done right now, that don't have a sense of urgency, to try to go in and cut the fat where in areas where we're utilizing money, or our money is sitting there that we're not necessarily using.
Do you have any particular departments or projects in mind?
Not really. I would have to go in by being new and not really knowing everything that's going on the inside. I'd like to go in and one of the first things is to go in and kind of look and find areas that can be cut.
Now, would you consider increasing the property tax rate to overcome a shortfall?
Not necessarily. No. There may be some other areas that we can look at. The property taxes would probably be the last thing, because there's a lot of other areas that we can look at.
Okay. Carlton, where would you go for cuts?
That's a difficult question. The city's operating on a $1.6 billion operating budget. $900 million of that is the general fund, and that's where we're really talking about the shortfall or the deficit of $35 million. And within that fund, you have core services such as police, fire, EMS, parks, libraries, public works. So all of those are critical issues. You also have growth in the city, which is going to demand increases in basic services. So I think we need to look, at core functions of the city first. We also need to be able to look at the other enterprise funds, which compose the other part of the $1.6 billion. I'm not sure where you go exactly to look for cuts, but the focus needs to be on core services.
Okay. And for you, I mean, are there any circumstances under which you would consider increasing the property tax rate?
You know, at this time, it's not just taxes that have to be considered, but you've got rates and fees as well. And we have a large number of people living in San Antonio that are on fixed incomes that in the last 4 to 5 years have seen their nest eggs devastated. And, you know, that would be a last case resort. I don't want to go ask people that are hurting right now to bring in more taxes, rates, or fees. You know, and again, I want to look at, you know, the sales tax is just a small part of how the city's funded, and, you know, property taxes as well. You also have rates and fees, which impact people on fixed income. So no, I want to hold the line.
Okay. Bud Little, how about you? Where do you go for cuts?
I'd like to wait and see what the manager recommends. Start from there. But there's no sacred cows. Not where the city's concerned and where budgets are concerned. But she has to earn her money, and I'd look for her recommendations and really start from there and find areas where some of more fat can be eliminated. It's almost bare bones right now, but I think there's probably room for more cuts, which would eliminate, I think, the need for a tax increase.
But if those cuts really proved hard to come by and you still had a gap, how about increasing property tax rates?
It would have to be a hard sell for me.
Yeah.
I would not just roll over and say yes. No. It would have to be justified.
All right. Izzy Perez, how about you?
I would look towards some of the things that we're doing that I think are kind of wasteful, and I would look at trying to make things more efficient. Now, to be more specific on this, a citizen told me how fire trucks are going with full crews to each fire hydrant, and they're checking them to see how efficient, or to see that these fire hydrants are working. Now, what I want to see is if we can get these checks to go without having to use diesel trucks and full firefighting crews. Now, this is just one area, and this goes to show just how much can be cut down to be made more efficient. I think that if we make our city government more efficient, we don't need to raise property taxes. I think the property tax raise should once again be a last resort thing. We should first look towards making things more efficient.
And how about property tax rates? If those savings prove a little difficult to find, would you support increasing the rate?
I mean, if I can't find those efficiencies, if for worst case scenario, worst comes to worst, you have to make ends meet, and you do have to raise property taxes. So yes, I would be for it in that scenario.
All right, Greg, thanks for that question. Very good. Thank you to the candidates for their answers. We'll come back with another round of questions for these District 10 City Council candidates. Izzy Perez, Carlton Soules, Bud Little, Laura Thompson, after this on News Talk 550 KTSA. KTSA News Time, 11:23, Jack Riccardi Show for Wednesday. District 10 City Council candidates are all here around the table, taking on the questions from you at 599-5555, and also from our two reporters from PlazaDeArmasTX.com, Greg Jefferson and Gilbert Garcia. We'll start this round of questioning with candidate Bud Little, and Gilbert, you'll ask the question.
Thank you, Jack. Bud Little, one of the issues that's come up over the years in District 10 is the glut of strip clubs along Perrin Vital in that area of town. How big a concern is that to you, and what, if anything, can the city do about that?
I remember vividly David Carpenter fighting that battle back when he was on council. He did a lot to try and correct the problem, but the way Perrin Vital is zoned, he really couldn't do a whole lot to keep it out. Efforts have been made by his successors to try and at least control it to a point, but haven't been able to. And I would like to explore what could be done where zoning issues are concerned to try and at least get it to a point where it's livable for the people who live along Perrin Vital and in that area, which is where I live.
One of the questions that's come up is it's the chicken or the egg question of if we had some economic development, the positive economic development in that area, would that change that situation? Is there anything any approach the city could take to kind of sort of change the makeup of that area?
I'd like to tackle that. Economic development is something District 10 needs badly, all over, not just Perrin Vital, but all over. Major industry, just not on the northeast side of town. It's mostly residential. So I would like to explore whatever avenue we can. I'll get together with the different departments that are involved in this and see if we can't map strategy in order to try to come up with a plan that could be submitted to the council and could be inaugurated in a short period of time. It's taken a long time for this to happen, so it's not going to change overnight. But I'd like to definitely do whatever I can to try to remedy the problem so it wouldn't get any worse.
Carlton Soules, what is your view on it? Does it remain a big problem in District 10, and what should the city do?
We have more than our fair share of sexually oriented businesses, not only along Perrin Vital, but also, we have several along 410. We'd obviously like to see those go away, but they're very well entrenched, and there's been a lot of legal battles fought that unfortunately the city has lost. So we need to continue looking at ways to lessen their impact. One of the things we also need to be on the lookout for is more trying to move in. And we had an instance where there was a sexually oriented business that opened up on 410 between Nacogdoches and Broadway, and that slipped in under the radar. But the former council or the current council person was able to work with zoning to downzone that, and we were able to head that one off. So not only do we have to see how to reduce the numbers that are already there, but obviously we want to keep more from coming in, and that's a constant vigilance.
And addressing that, you would want to address that through zoning, the zoning project?
Whatever avenues are available, and again, zoning is one way to do it. Economic development, obviously, is another way. I was involved with the Austin Highway Revitalization Project, and I think that's done good work over the last 10 years, taking out some of the the older hotels and getting new development in. So that's obviously part of it, especially on the Perrin Vital corridor.
Okay, thank you. Izzy Perez, what's your view on that issue?
I think while we shouldn't be antagonizing business owners of any type, I think we do still have to draw a line whenever we see strip clubs right next door to elementary schools. That's something that just shouldn't be happening. Now, in order to tackle this issue, I think we need to fight business with another business. We need to have higher class businesses in these sort of sectors.
How do you do that?
Now, as you said earlier with the whole chicken and the egg sort of concept, in order to bring these businesses in, you have to have a market that is willing to buy, that is willing to use these services for these businesses. So I think the problem is actually deeper rooted than we're looking at here. We're looking at a sort of picking the weed at the stem rather than actually going in and weeding out the weed. So I think what we need to do, what we really need to be talking about doing here, is bringing more high-income jobs, more high-tech jobs to District 10. That way, people with deeper pockets will be spending more in these higher market places, bringing in these different businesses that will drive out the strip clubs that are right next to elementary schools.
Do you have any ideas as far as how to bring in those kind of jobs?
How to bring in those sort of jobs? What I think is, as a long-term plan, what I would say is to increase our focus on education. As I guess sort of a short-term plan to bring them in here now, we give them sort of tax incentives for different businesses, for different companies that are known for their high-tech abilities, such as Dell, such as HP. We look at these different companies and we give them tax incentives to build offices here in District 10.